Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shite podcast show. Mark and Ken.
What's the story?
On episode 203 of the Shite podcast show.
Yeah.
Our eve of our big show.
Yeah, 204 Eve.
Do you have that kind of like excited feeling that you get just before Christmas Eve, or is it just a dread before like you're leaving for exam and you haven't studied?
50-50.
A bit both. It's just a lot of emotions going around, really.
Yeah, like, I'm starting to think, why did we build this up so much?
Do you know, I have thought about this for so long. I don't know where the idea started. I know it was around 150. It was around then, or 140 something. We're like, oh, we should pick a random number. I don't know why we actually stuck with this idea.
Of all things for us to stick with.
Yeah, like we stick with nothing. We're just quitters.
All the things that we've done that have died after a week or two.
I don't know, we just casually forgotten about. Yeah, we've kept this going for some reason. Maybe we will have something.
Maybe we have a big surprise for Steve, and we're just trying to lower your expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that is. This could be the way we go, or I wouldn't get your hopes up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too anxious. If you missed next week's show, don't worry.
Don't worry about it. You barely noticed anything changed. Anyway, you actually recently got your second jab.
Yeah.
As we record this, so I was like, I wonder how this podcast will go.
Like 3 hours ago. So,
yeah, exactly. I was like, he could be delirious. He's just like definitely there's no whole lot of 5G going on here because we already had an internet outage.
Yeah, so that's definitely a lie anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly. But like I was saying, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but like it's probably a bad thing if I could have it implanted. But if I could have 5G implanted, because my internet quality places where I go is so bad, I think I'd take it. I take that option of being able to bring my own internet connection anywhere I go. It seems like a good idea. There's probably reasons why it's a bad idea, but to me it seems like a good idea.
It's like that, do you remember in Animaniacs? Good idea, bad idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. Wi-Fi everywhere. Bad idea. Bill Gates is stalking you.
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't mind Bill Gates in my DMs.
Okay, Mark.
Just like I definitely wreck his head more than he'd wreck my head. I kind of think.
Will you be sending him the dick pics?
I wouldn't be sending dick pics. Just like stupid questions about the universe.
He's not Stephen Hawking.
Well, he's also not Elon Musk. He'd be funny. He goes, I'm a computer programmer. I suppose, like, have you ever talked about a supermassive black hole? And I heard once, if you stay on the edge of a black hole, you don't age. Can we take that and put it into a pill form?
Yeah.
If we could, we'd be rich. Yeah, let's work on that.
What are you going to do with all this COVID money?
Yeah, exactly. How many vaccine money? How much do you make off the vaccine? People are all about he funded some research for the vaccine. I think Dolly Parton did.
Yeah.
No one gives out but Dolly all that Dolly money Dolly made from. I think she put a good bit of money into one of the vaccines. So
didn't Bill Gates also decline the option to patent the formula?
Yeah.
So that it could be shared amongst different companies and stuff.
Yeah, I think there was an open agreement in terms of that, yeah.
So, he's definitely in it for the money.
But he has a engineer group, and it's non-profit, but they come up with innovative solutions for third world countries. So they have one for a freezer box for places in Africa that can be self-sustaining, so they can get medicine to kind of rural African areas. And and he funds engineers and research to go over there, see what the logistic problems are, come up with solutions, and like give grants to people to create their ideas. Like,
yeah, the singer from Iron Maiden recently gave a TED talk.
Yeah.
And he has come up with him and this other guy. So Bruce Dickinson's a qualified like airline pilot.
Yeah.
So he's like absolutely obsessed with planes. So he's come up with this. He's designed and he's done the first like test flight on this. It's going to be the world's biggest plane. So like it's a fucking massive thing. He had photos of it, like, and it's just gigantic. But the purpose of it is he's also after designing this drone.
Yeah.
The massive plane that he created is actually carbon neutral. Like, it's not carbon neutral to build, it's carbon neutral to build and fly. So like even flying it, it's just like there's no zero carbon emissions from it.
All
he then designed these drones that are completely edible. So his idea is that you can get the drones, so you can open up the drone as well. So you open up the drone and you put like your bottles of water and stuff into it, you close it. You can actually fly over like areas of the world that are affected by natural disasters and stuff that like you can't get aid to overly quick. Or you can fly them over areas of Africa where they really, really need like health aid and stuff, and you can just drop the drones and fly the drones to where they need to go. And the people that get them can actually, it's like 14 or 15 days you can survive off one of these drones.
Oh, they must be massive.
Yeah, like they're pretty fucking big things.
Yeah, like I know he's not Ozzy Osbourne, but surely he come up with an edible drone, you shape it like a bat. There's like a subtle nod to like
it kind of looks more like he had like a kind of photo for it. They haven't built one yet. They're like still working out the cost and stuff of it. But he's trying to keep the cost fairly low so that it's like profitable for governments instead of sending aid to buy these drones. So he's hoping each drone will cost like $200-300, and it's shaped like a shuttlecock.
Yeah.
So it looks more like a shuttlecock than a bat.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Got a few interesting stories. I kind of got like caught like a lot of clickbait this week.
Yeah, me too.
A lot more than usual. A lot of my stories, I found loads of stories and then I clicked into them and you're just like, this isn't what this article is about.
Yeah, this is complete shite.
You're trying to sell me something.
You bastards.
Yeah, but we managed to get a fairly decent show together. We talked about the Titanic. I know it's not very breaking news, but there was like over the week there was a Titanic museum in America, and an iceberg fell on and injured 3 people. So I just thought that was ironic.
And how did that go down?
Like a sinking ship, I imagine. They had to come out and apologise. They had to close the place down. That's all the puns I got for that. You have a story about a sandwich.
I have a story about a sandwich.
And
a rude word.
And a funny word and funny things people have written on their gravestone.
Yeah.
Well, I found a woman who was pulled over by the police for speeding and gave a very, very odd excuse for why she was speeding so fast. She was going 130 miles per hour, Ken.
What a bitch.
So we'll be talking about bad excuses or good excuses to give to police if you get caught. Do you have any excuses up your sleeve that like you'd pull out?
That'll get you away with it.
Yeah, you'd probably get. I've gotten away with speeding.
I got away with it by accident once.
Yeah, me too. Mine was accident. I think they just feel pity on you sometimes.
Mine was like I wasn't pulled over. Mine came in the post.
All right.
My cousin got away with speeding before his girlfriend was pregnant, and when he got pulled over, he just said to her like, "Just start doing your like breathing and pretend you're going into labour." So they ended up having to get a guard to escort to the hospital, then waiting for the guard to leave before they went to where they were supposed to be going.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we'll be talking about more stories like that, as well as there's a petition going around on change.org. It's to get a new sport, if you can call it a sport, into the Olympics. So we're talking about that. Have you been following the Olympics? Have you been keeping up with
it? Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. You're not vaguely interested in people jumping over things.
No, not really.
All right. Well, I should end that conversation. No, I asked them there during the week, and it's like, what is the biggest sporting event in the world? They're like, oh, probably the Olympics is. I was like, more people watch that than the Super Bowl. And they're like, yeah, only America really, and small parts of Europe watch Super Bowl. And I was like, fair enough. Well, the World Cup, yeah, bigger than that. And I was just thinking, it's so vast. I know.
I'd imagine the biggest ones are like the Olympics, the World Cup, WrestleMania.
Not a sporting event.
Yeah, but it's counted as a sport.
Is it? I know it's sports entertainment. But they're not competing. Like I feel like the essence of a sport is that there's going to be a winner and a loser, and it's not predetermined.
But they are being athletic.
Oh, they are being no. There's no question. But so is like an action movie.
Like it gets counted in like the biggest sports events of the year.
That's a joke. Like I'm not like I get like they're some of the most athletic human beings alive. Like, but you'd be very pissed off is if professional wrestling made it to the Olympics.
That'd be actually pretty good. I'd probably watch the Olympics then.
Would you? There's going to be a ladder match at the Olympics. Who's going to win? We can't tell.
Yeah, there's going to be some cunt bet open with a chair.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, the essence of sport is that there's an undetermined winner and loser, and that they meet in the field of competition based off rules and their own athleticism.
But there's always been cheats. There's always been people losing on purpose.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have that sewn into the nature of the sport.
It's kind of expected of boxing these days, isn't it?
I don't think it is, Ken.
I think it is. It's kind of expected that there's going to be some cheating, cunt.
There probably is cheating going on, but not the highest level. I don't think Anthony Joshua is going to take a dive to Tyson Fury.
Well, you'd be surprised.
I don't think Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, like where he came up from the dead, was predetermined.
Like there were, like there was cheating and stuff going on, like when Muhammad Ali was boxing and stuff. Like Sonny Liston was involved with the mob.
Yeah, yeah, but like I don't think like Joe Frazier went down easy for Muhammad Ali.
He didn't for Muhammad Ali, but he did for other people. Yeah,
but he didn't go down like in the top echelons of sports. Like it's not predetermined. There's not like Muhammad Ali wasn't sitting there with a screenwriter and going, here's your get up. You're going to lean against the rope and you're going to dodge punches. Like that was. I don't think he was, Ken.
Were you there, Mark?
So, like, I think at the edge, John, that's why you can't have, like, you shouldn't have professional wrestling in, like, it's just retarded to think professional wrestling is, I know, like, it is athletic, but so is parts of acting athletic. If you're, like, you wouldn't have, like, best personality, best sports star as an actor who played a rugby star in a movie. I'm pretty sure he had to get in a great shape for it, or some person in Game of Thrones for winning a sword fight. Like, just because it's athletic doesn't mean it's a sport. There has to be like competition. That's the nature. That's why chess is like considered sport.
Like why? I don't understand why darts and stuff is this fucking sport.
Because you can win and you can lose.
Yeah, but there's no like athleticism in it. Like that's like how are they athletes?
Well, they can aim. No. They have a like specific skill set of aiming.
Yeah, they have a skill set of aiming. Like that's
hand-eye coordination. Well, hand-eye coordination would be like coordination is.
If you can be like the best of some sport and fucking die from a weight-related heart attack, then
sumo wrestling.
your sport's a bit shit.
What about sumo wrestling?
Yeah, that's a bit nonsense.
Heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, but generally they're fairly fit.
Not all of them. Have you seen Daniel Cormier as well? He is actually extremely athletic. But there are people. There are like, what's that fat guy who was in MMA? Oh, he fought in Pride.
Fought in Pride.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Mark Hunt is another one.
Mark Hunt. Yeah, but he probably is fairly.
He doesn't have the world's greatest diet.
Yeah, but he's probably still fairly athletic though.
Well, he can move it. His sport determines him. He has to have some athletic ability, but like he could easily also die of a like heart-related disease as well.
Like I don't have the best diet in the world, Mark, but I'm athletic as fuck.
Yeah, you really showed that yesterday in training.
Yeah, I really showed that yesterday in training, dying after 5 minutes.
Well, try training like more than once a week, and you'll get there.
I'm trying to build myself back up to it now with after lockdown.
Yeah, exactly.
I also have the problem with the way I work is being shit since gyms reopened, so I should get back training a couple more times this week. Obviously, it won't be there today, but maybe tomorrow.
You going to go to wrestling on Friday?
That's to be determined.
Yeah, wrestling has to be like because you like people who maybe look at jiu-jitsu and then look at wrestling. Probably see a lot of similarities in terms of the sport, but they're far different in terms of fucking like physicality. My God, it's so tough.
It's very, very hard.
Yeah, it's so much difference. Like in terms,
it's kind of soul destroying a little bit.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Anyway, no, it's also soul destroying. Haven't stuff following it, and that's why we were going to start getting into our stories. And today we're starting up talking about a museum in America actually, I think it's the largest Titanic museum. Titanic in Pigeon, Georgia is the world's largest museum attraction according to its website. So it's in Tennessee.
Of course it is.
Yeah, so they have the largest museum thing. It's like a full-scale museum, this place. It's like, it has a full-scale ship. It's a self-guided tour with 400 personal private artifacts on display. Valued about $4.5 million. It lets visitors touch the real iceberg even. Has like their own real iceberg. Walk around the hallways and kind of get a feel like what would it be like being on the actual Titanic. And it's like full scale. Well, not full scale because Titanic was pretty big, but it's almost full scale kind of experience that they offer.
When you mentioned this story, I assumed you meant it was like like a plastic fucking iceberg.
Do you know, I'm not actually too sure if it was a plastic iceberg that fell on them. But now that I actually just read there and say they have an actual iceberg, it could have actually been an actual iceberg that fell on them. But imagine you wouldn't have an actual iceberg suspended at any great heights.
That wouldn't be a great idea.
Surely they've learned their lesson.
Yeah.
While we're basically talking about this, on Monday night, at least 3 guests were injured after iceberg fell on them. Which is quite ironic if you go to a Titanic museum to see a ship that was taken down by an iceberg and then you yourself gets taken down by an iceberg.
It couldn't be any sweeter. It's one way to break the ice anyway.
Yeah. I had so many other puns. I was just trying to, all these puns are going to come to me after the show.
That's always the way.
Load of myths around the Titanic. Have you heard any of the myths?
The only one that I heard was about the serial number being something to do with there's no Pope or fuck the Pope or something.
Oh, some Protestants put it there to say fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was first.
I could well imagine that because people, there's kind of a long history of either artists or people putting stuff in because they don't realize that people don't actually look too closely at stuff. I remember there's a whiskey billboard. This is when billboards used to be hand painted. So they had this guy paint them and they had their slogan on the painting. And instead of writing the slogan, he had Mary had a little lamb. And he wrote it. So that he had a verse of that. And then obviously a few meters down, he'd have to do the exact same sign because they're advertising it. And so the next bit down, he'd have the next verse and the next verse. And no one ever copped it.
That you wonder how often that happens.
Yeah, so like I could well believe that actually was on the Titanic, considering that it was built in Belfast, a very Protestant area of Ireland. So
yeah, I don't know. It's probably just one of those fucking things that people say.
well, so the myth goes that any ship just before the Titanic set sail, that the ship was advertised as an unsinkable ship that said not even God can sink this ship.
Oh yeah, I heard that one.
Yeah, so apparently, like that was almost a challenge to God, if you believe in God. Oh, there goes my more. That was almost a challenge to God, if you believe in God, which is ironic that then I spilled my water. But like, so that the name itself came cursed, and anything that's associated with the Titanic has basically met a watery grave or have went down in flames. So apparently there was a third ship. So there's the Titanic and the Olympia, I think, or something. Not the Olympia, but something like that. Was the other ship. But apparently there's a third ship, and that actually also sunk before it actually got into the ship, and they're going to call that one the Titanic. I think there was another myth around. There's some fisherman, or not fisherman, or some guy who had a boat, and he named his ship the Titanic, and it sunk when he was at sea as well.
And there was a Titanic 2 as well, I think.
Yeah, I think that was the third. That was the third ship. There was 3 ships built. One was the Titanic, but I think something happened before it actually made its maiden voyage, and it sank. Something like that. I don't know. These are all myths that we heard. These are urban legends. I did look at other myths before this, and they were all kind of disproving. Like even the one about the Titanic said that the Titanic was unsinkable. That came out after.
Was there not? I thought there was a flyer thing that said that.
No, this was according to YouTube, so like that's as much my research went to. But apparently, like that was a myth that came out after that. He said that it was unsinkable, but before that, it wasn't necessarily built as that. And in fact, it wasn't even the Olympia one was the more kind of, it was the one that garnered more attention than the Titanic. It was just like a sister ship.
That's strange.
Wasn't even the main attraction. Yeah, so this was like stories about it. So like that got me thinking, like, because the Japanese are actually planning on building a replica Titanic ship, and I was just wondered if this would put them off, if they're like, oh my god, the Titanic curse strikes again.
Yeah, let's not do this.
Did they make a Titanic 2, like in terms of the actual movie? I think they did. I think there's an actual Titanic 2 movie.
I don't think
it did as well.
I think that was fake.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh, yeah, because I remember, I think your one survived, and it was just like, I think it was all about Jack comes back from the dead or something like that.
A zombie movie.
Yeah. You survived. Yes, I got to shore.
He's still alive.
Yeah, or something like that. I can't remember. The best has to be like I think it was Family Guy or South Park. I'm not too sure, but they're like, Passion of Christ 2, crucify this.
Oh yeah.
Or
this
some
time personal.
Yeah, or someone said Taken 3, you are taking the piss.
Yeah, I think they've well taken the piss with that.
I think there's at least 3 movies. Yeah, actually.
There's 3 in a TV series. Yeah.
Every week somebody gets taken.
Yeah, like I don't know how
his family. Like, it was such a good first movie.
The first one was good, and I think the third one was good.
I don't know which one it was where his daughter was learning to drive, and she was like left foot brake in. She was doing all these like reverse turns, spinning around the corner. But the premise was before she got in the car, she was just learning to drive. She hadn't really done any lessons. And then at the end of the movie, she was like just seeing her taking driving lessons. And you're like, I'm pretty sure you'll be all right. I'm pretty sure you can go for the test after what you displayed.
Yeah, but like it's obviously because she inherited his skills, Mark.
But like the premise was she couldn't drive.
But Mark, she inherited his skills.
But like, she then had to go for driving lessons.
Skills.
Then she had to go for driving lessons after.
Because you have to do your 12 mandatory tests.
No, that's in Ireland. You're thinking this is just in America. America's the Wild West. You can just hop in the car, pass your license.
I don't know if that's how it works, Mark.
I don't think they have 12 mandatory lessons. I don't think it shocked me if they have any mandatory lessons.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely just an Ireland thing.
Yeah, well, maybe Europe, they probably have some kind of system. It's even more regulatory.
Yeah, I don't know. Europe is a bit dodgy as well, though. Have you ever been to France?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, roundabouts are crazy over there.
Yeah.
Italy has to be the worst, though. Italy, my God, every single car has scrapes on it.
Yeah, he is pretty bad.
I don't think they exchange insurance details over there at all. There's like just keep going.
Like Italy is funny. I know somebody who like actually drive, like they go to Italy fairly regularly, and they drove in Italy, and I think they crashed into somebody.
Yeah.
And they were stopped, and they were all like, "Oh shit!" And the Italian person was like, "It's okay.
It's okay. I keep driving. My car starts. Your car then." My friend was driving to, it's like 30,000 kilometers away from Ireland, near Russia. Mongolia.
Okay.
Mongolia. He's driving to Mongolia, and he's in one of the Kyrgyzstans. You know, the countries that end like that, like Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah.
He's in one of those countries, and they're on a motorway, and he slammed into this guy. The car was already overloaded because they were driving for such long distances. The brakes were shot on them because it was only a 1.1 liter Honda Fox or something like that. I don't know what car they were driving. A Honda Jazz. I think it was a Honda Jazz. And they slammed into this car. Absolutely totaled his car. Their car had crash bars because they had to do a bit of off-roading. So their car was alright. It wasn't too bad, but your man's car was fucked. So they pull over the side of the road, and he's like going, "Oh, I don't know what to do." Like, he's like, "Oh, it's fine, whatever." But like his car was fucked. So they gave him, I think, €100 and a bottle of vodka. And your man nearly sucked them both off. Like he was over. Like that was like like over a year's salary. Like, it was like more than a year's salary. He just gave him for totaling the car that was probably worth 50 cents. Like probably worth maybe like 20, maybe €10, and they just gave him like €100. So your man was like, "Oh yeah, no problem." So like, yeah, like he was fucking delighted with himself, and he got a bottle of vodka as well. So he's just like happy out with himself.
Isn't it mad like how currencies differ in different countries? That always like,
oh yeah,
I always find that into like,
yeah, I remember, yeah, even fucking, I think when I was over in Indonesia, like €7 was like 15,000 rupiah.
Yeah. What the fuck is that about?
It's a fucking absurd amount of money to be able to get for like 7 quid. It fucks your mind because you have to like do maths when you're away. You're looking at something that was like 30,000 rupiah, and you're like, is that worth it? Is it worth 30,000?
Is it worth 30 grand?
Yeah, I remember buying like stuff away, and it's very hard to haggle when you don't know how much you actually got it for. I remember doing the maths. I was like, this T-shirt that I liked, and he started at like, I think it was like 100 115,000 rupiah, and I got him down to 30,000 rupiah, and I was like, I worked out whatever the maths was. He asked for like €30, and I got him down to 7. I got him down to about 14.
I know there's just some places, like I know in some parts of Turkey and stuff, they actually get kind of offended if you don't haggle.
Yeah, they kind of build the prices in to haggle.
Yeah, like there's one time when we were in Turkey, like there was like fucking loads of us, and we had this tour guide, and we kind of like got friendly with him, and he was like, "Oh, like haggle with everybody," because like some people will get really pissy with you because you didn't.
Yeah.
Like if somebody goes to you, "Oh, like that's fucking €30," and you're like, "Okay, yeah, grand," they're kind of like, "Oh, fuck you."
Probably like, oh, I probably could have got more out. After they're pissed, they're like, oh, I should have probably asked for more. That's probably a good price for it, because like they probably don't know what we pay over here. They're like, I'll keep saying until you are annoyed at how much I'm offering them for this. Some lucky guys, they don't like haggling. I've been on places where like David, like, you know, when I just wanted a cheap pair of sunglasses, and they seriously wanted €15 for it, and I was like, I'll give you 2. And I did go down pretty low, but I was just like my idea is like they're worth 5. You know they're worth 5. Yeah. And he's like, no, 15. I was like, no, €2. He goes, no, that's way too much. That's way too little. We're very good sunglasses. I'm like, he's like, they're definitely worth 15. I go, they're not worth 15. They're worth €5 at most. And then he's like,
you're kind of like, and you were a lucky man.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, you. I said, you put the price up way too high. I'm gonna go way too low. And he's just like, no, €15, nothing. I was like, I don't give you fucking €15. Buy them in the shop for €15.
Yeah.
I'll go into that Specsavers over there and buy them for €15.
Aidan used to give out to me when we go on holidays, the lucky man, because he just like, I should be like, no, fuck off.
I love to haggle though. When I went to Tenerife, I haggled with everyone.
It doesn't surprise me, Mark.
I just love to haggle. Yeah, so sandwiches.
Yeah, so like, do you ever? I'm assuming you do because you're a normal person. Do you ever like go to Subway and stuff?
Not Subway anymore. I hate Subway.
Yeah, but like you've been to like somewhere like Subway.
I've been to delis.
There's this like kind of place like Subway in America called, what's it called? Fucking Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's.
And Jimmy John's. So this guy went in. Well, his wife went in and she got she ordered like a roll. Americans call them sandwiches. She ordered a roll, and when she got the roll, she brought it out and she gave her husband his roll, and she looked at her own roll. It had the word bitch written on it.
Now, you were telling me this off air. Do they generally write stuff on? Is this like their Starbucks thing where they write messages on rolls?
So that's what they didn't, right? So they just got this and they just said bitch. So the guy was like, well, fuck this. I'm going back in there and I'm going to see why they wrote bitch on your thing. So like he thought, oh, maybe she had like some sort of fucking interaction with somebody and she was a bit of a bitch. But no, she said she went in, she ordered. They were like, fine, paid for it. They gave them the thing. So he was like, I don't understand why they wrote bitch on your sandwich. So he went in and he looked for a manager. And the manager came out and he showed the manager the thing. And the manager was like, yeah, okay. And he's like, why is this written on the thing? And he was like, because you ordered a BLT with cheese. So the I, what looks like the I, is actually an L. It actually says BLT CH. So it's BLT and then CH for cheese. And your man said like he felt like an asshole. Then he's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, I'm sorry. You were calling my wife a bitch. Yeah, because I thought maybe they wrote messages on like sandwiches or inside leave notes like "enjoy your sandwich" or "hot stuff" or something.
Hot stuff.
They'd probably have a lot of complaints over that.
Hot stuff.
I remember it made like radio news and like it was kind of a bit of a thing, and then it kind of had like people up in arms on both sides, where a girl, I think the mother took a photo of this and said, "How dare they do this?" Was in like a Costa or a Starbucks or a coffee place anyway, and there's a warning label that says "hot." Is hot, or it's like something like that, and he said someone wrote on the cup, "So are you," who worked there. So it was on her daughter's cup, it said it's hot or whatever, hot water, and then he wrote, "So are you," and she was like, "How dare they look what was written on the side of my daughter's cup," and then like you had all the feminists coming out in arms going, "Women shouldn't be objectified when they go in for coffee," and like other people are like, "Oh, it was a compliment. Get over yourselves. You should be happy you get a compliment." So you just had people up in arms on both sides.
But like the thing is, if that happened to a guy, there wouldn't have been anything about it.
I'd be going in and getting the number if I was a single guy.
You probably would have put back and said, "Hey,
hey,
what's up?
Can I have a marker?"
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, but like I just thought maybe it was something like that. Have you ever mistaken something like that and been up in arms and people are like, "No, you're dumb. It's this." Starbucks typically will spell your name wrong, or spell you something like you'll say it's like whatever your name is, and they'll write something else on it.
Yeah, they do that on purpose.
Yeah, because like I was over on my way to Indonesia, and me and this girl, one of my friends, were going over to Indonesia shop of Starbucks, and I was like, "My name is Mark," and they wrote Max. I was like, "That's not even close." I don't know what they wrote for Jacqueline. I don't, but it was like something completely different as well.
Yeah, they do it on purpose so that you post it online. And
you know what? We fell right into that trap.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah. It's like, well, I thought maybe it was something like that. Maybe sandwich companies should actually write notes. I think this could be like, if they give you a napkin, they could have underneath the napkin, staff might write something like, "Have a nice day."
Yeah.
Or maybe a little joke or something like that. I think people are very trigger-y these days. Like they're they're looking to be outraged. So maybe
there's a whole like marketing industry behind that now, like outrage marketing. Your man from White Moose Cafe does it.
Oh really?
Yeah, it works pretty well. Like
he goes out of his way.
He goes around and he gives talks on like how to be effective at it and stuff. Like he literally does things. Like he put outside his restaurant, like his cafe, at one stage that you would be asked for ID on entry, and if you're over 65, you can fuck off. You're not allowed to come in.
And people were posting about it. Yeah.
People were posting about it, and he got he was serious about it. Like he did stop people over 65 going in for like a little while. And he got like loads of letters and stuff from like the anti-discrimination board and stuff. And he just done a Facebook Live video of himself eating those letters. And then he has a thing where if you are asking for gluten-free products, like if the product on the menu is not gluten-free, so like say his pancakes, if you ask for gluten-free pancakes, he will ask you for a doctor's note to say that you are actually allergic to gluten or you're not getting them.
I don't know if you'd necessarily get a doctor's note, though. You don't get a card like a diabetic.
Yeah, well, that's the way he's... Like, it just works as... Like, he's... people in America and stuff... People fly from different countries to go to his cafe because he's like this. And he makes serious money doing it because he brings the Christmas party every year that he gives his staff. He flies everybody to Disneyland.
Oh, really? Jesus.
Every year they all go to Disneyland.
Yeah, there's a weird kind of way people make money. Because I remember there's a nightclub out in Dublin called... I can't believe I've forgotten this nightclub. Oh my God, it's been so long that I went to a pub. I've forgotten everywhere. Coppers. Copperface Jacks.
Yeah.
Can't believe I forgot Coppers. But if you're in Dublin, go to Coppers. It's quite well known. Everyone goes there when the gas on because it's very popular with people outside Dublin because it's like a kind of famous bar that everyone goes to if you're in college, and they stay up mad late, and there's this kind of mystique around coppers, and like GA players after they win championships, let's all go to coppers and stuff like that. There's even a play about coppers in Dublin. So like there's this like mystique around it, and so people are asking your man who owns coppers, and he's like, "Oh, would you franchise this out? Would you go other places, like go to different parts of Ireland, have a coppers in Cork or Galway?" And they're like, "No, then you lose the mystique of coppers. It'd be like too common. Like the idea is that like people go out of their way to come here." So I always like those kind of
I've actually never been there.
Have you not?
No.
Yeah, it's all right. Like, you know, it's a standard tip. It's actually really badly laid out. It's like they have like a place where a dance floor right at a bar, but there's no barrier separating the two, so you can be over on one side of the room. It's very hard to get around the dance. You have to go through the dance place floor to get to a bar.
The dance place.
The dance place. Where the young people do their moves.
You have to go through the dance place to get there.
Get to the bar. Out of my way. I want my shorts. You young people sicking me.
You bastards.
Can you tell that DJ to turn that shite down?
It's too loud.
It's too loud. Anyway, yeah, so I like that kind of alternative way of like businesses. There's like also a donut place in Dublin that they make, and I think this is a myth, I don't know if it is, but they make a certain amount of donuts, and when they
closed down. Krispy Kreme bought them.
They bought them?
Yeah, Danger. They used to only do like they made the donuts in the morning, and when they sold out, they were closed for the day.
See, I always just like that alternative way of business, because then there's kind of a rarity to it. There's a kind of I must have this.
Like, and their donuts were class.
Yeah, you have to have a quality product. You have a substantially shite product, like no one cares.
Yeah, it has to be like something decent.
We should move on to that, and we'll go on to talking about funny things people have written on their headstones. A lot of death in this week's show.
A lot of death on this week's show.
Yeah, so what prompted this story?
I just seen it online.
Alright, fair enough.
Well, the most famous, like, silly thing written on headstone, like, we were talking about this before we came on air, was Spike Milligan has I told you I was sick.
Yeah.
So there's a whole, like, load of stuff people have written on their headstones. Like, there's like what? I have another three that are kind of cool. So like, there's one in some part of America. I can't read the name of this town, but it's in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And the headstone says, "Here lies John Yeast. Pardon me for not rising."
I wonder how long he's been planning that. He's like, I'm gonna have this when I die.
And then there's another one, Merv Griffin. Merv Griffin will not be right back after this message. And then this one I don't really get, but whatever. It's John Doe, 1936 to 2014. He was well liked and has the Facebook thumbs up and 13,749.
Fair enough. Maybe there's a comment on what people show like credibility to. Like, I was liked by this many people.
There's just stuff that, like, I have a friend who wants to have really, really small writing on his headstone so that when, like, you kind of like walk on the grave to read it.
Yeah.
And then when you get up close, the small writing says, "You're standing on my balls."
That's pretty good. Would you have anything kind of witty or satirical on your headstones?
Not really. Like, nothing that I can think of. Like, I don't really care.
I'd be like, why am I not a tree?
Why am I not a tree?
Because I wanted to be cremated and put under a tree. So, like, if not, I want, why am I not a tree written on my gravestone?
No, that's fair enough. Like,
fair enough. Maybe let's have like a picture of a tree stapled onto it. There you go. Yeah, but like, it's mad. Like, people like go out of the way, think of it, and then put it in their will. This is what I want them to do. There's kind of like, there has been like some really odd requests before for like funerals, or people have like people with serious mental thought into this. Like I generally don't think hugely amount, because like when you die, that's it. You're not gonna be looking down over your grave going, why am I not a tree? It's gonna be like not waking up. It's not gonna be there anymore.
You're just gonna be dead.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care. You're not going to come visit the grave anyway.
You might.
Oh, some people go to graves. I always feel like that's another thing. Like people feel guilty, but they have to go to the grave, or they haven't went to the grave, or they should go to the grave more. Where really, you should probably just live your life and just remember them through story and song.
Story and song.
Yeah, I want to see shanty made after me when I die.
I'll write a sea shanty for you, man.
Oh, brilliant. Good. I would be a tree and be a sea shanty made about me.
It'll be dead. It'll be the best thing ever.
Yeah, and who says you're going to live longer than me?
I did.
I'll make sure of it.
Like in the grand scheme of things. Oh no, wait, no, hang on, I'm older. Never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
I'll leave it in my will, right? So I'll write you a sea shanty, and I'll leave it in my will, and it'll be given to you or your descendants upon your death.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I never get to hear it?
You'll never get to hear it.
That's so
but
disappointing.
I can guarantee you that it'll be representative of everything you stand for.
Oh, right. Well, that'll be good. And the fact that I'll never get to hear it will mean I can't question if it actually exists.
Yeah, and you also can't question the extent of how much of it is true.
We should move on to, because we've still a lot of stories. We've kind of went on mad tangents for this show. So I have a feeling we're going to run out of time before we get through all of our stories. But I want to go on to talking about speeding tickets. Have you ever got a speeding ticket?
Loads of times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How many times have you been stopped for speeding offhand?
Been actually stopped by guards or caught by a speeding van. I've been stopped by guards twice and caught by a speeding van 3, I think.
Jesus. Are they all like within a 2-year period or 4-year period as it is now?
They were all within, I'd say it was between 19 and maybe 25.
Yeah, like when you
I haven't gotten caught in a while.
When you consider that how much I drive, because I drive for a living, and how long I've been driving, I've only ever been pulled over once for speeding, and I got away with it. I was on my way to do the radio station. I was caught doing 140 kilometers in 120 zone because I was on a motorway. I had absolutely no idea that I was going that fast. Didn't know why they were pulling me over, because I was listening to a podcast on my headphones. I thought I was being pulled in. Someone said it's illegal to drive with headphones on. I was like, no, it's not. And I was like, seeing blue lights. I was like, oh, well, maybe it is. So I kind of sheepishly took the headphones out and threw them onto the passenger side of so they wouldn't see it. I was like, she was like, do you know why I pulled you over? No, officer, I have no idea. And she was like, do you know what speed you were going? And I was like, oh, well, I checked my speed when I seen he's at the top of the bridge there, and it's going 120. And she's like, no, when you were passing that trailer, you were going 140 kilometers. And I was like, oh, was I? I'm sorry. And she's like, where are you off to? And I was like, oh, I'm a volunteer. And she's like, all right, well, just watch your speed and let me off with it. It's like, fucking thank God. That's the only time I've been caught. But like, yeah, I've been a few close calls.
I got off with one because I got caught by a speed van.
Yeah.
And I got a letter in the post that said, you've been caught doing 60, I think it was something like 64 kilometers an hour in an 80 zone.
Yeah. And
I was like, sure, there's nothing wrong with that. You're supposed to do less than the fucking speed limit. Yeah. I knew that I got caught by the van, and I was still living at home. My ma was like, oh, just go down to the post office and pay the fine. I was like, no, there's nothing wrong with doing 64 kilometers in an 80 zone. So yeah. No, I'm not going to fucking pay the fine. And she's like, oh, they're going to bring you to court then. You're going to end up having to pay more. I was like, no. How will I end up having to pay more? Because their fucking ticket thing is wrong. So fuck them. They waited 10 days. I think they give you got 14 days to pay your fine, something like that.
Yeah.
And they gave, on the 10th day, I got a second letter off them saying, please ignore our first correspondence. And I was like, yeah, because they couldn't send a second one with the correct speeds on it, because I would just burn it and go to court and say, I never got the second one. This is the one I got.
Yeah, well, you probably would be like, yeah, well, you could brought evidence that, but they'd just bring the evidence of your car doing the speed, picture of your car and the speed that was actually captured.
Yeah, and then I'd pay the original fine, because I'd be like, look, this is the thing that I got. That's why I didn't pay it, because there's nothing wrong with what I got. Yeah,
but most people who do get pulled over by police end up getting fines, and this woman probably definitely deserved to get a fine, because she was caught doing 130 miles per hour by police on a motorway in a Mercedes G-Wagon on an M1 in, I think, London, by police. And when she was stopped by them, she gave a very, very odd excuse for why she was going this fast. So odd that the police officers put it up on Twitter.
That's always a great sign.
Derbyshire police caught her going the speed, and they tweeted about an incident of a woman doing excessive speed today, and when pulled over and asked why she was going so fast, her excuse was she needed to use the toilet.
She needed to use it.
So basically she was bursting for a piss with police, and that's why she was going so fast.
I think that's the most common excuse given.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The fact that she also was only on a provisional license also didn't help, and a lot of people, when they tweet this, were commenting on her, like how a person on a provisional license was able to afford to insure a G-Wagon. Probably mommy and daddy, though, in fairness. Like, if you can afford to, buy a G-Wagon, you can probably afford to insure it.
Yeah, if you can afford to buy any car, you can probably afford to insure that car.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're not going to spend all your money on a G-Wagon and go, oh shit, now how am I meant to insure this?
Yeah, oh well, I'm just not going to insure it.
Yeah, imagine her insurance premium is going to go up after this incident. We kind of got me going down a bit of a wormhole. And there's of other bad excuses people has given to get out of speeding fines. So, this one actually worked at least once for this guy, I think. So they don't actually tell you what speed they are going. As I said, my grandfather is insulin resistant, and when he was pulled over by the police, he said he was speeding to his grandfather because he's insulin resistant, and he needed an escort to bring him to hospital. So he had his grandfather in the car. He said, he's insulin resistant. I need to bring him to hospital. That's why I was speeding. Can I get an escort? And the police let him go. And one time we gave him an actual escort to the hospital. Another kind of an excuse to give was, probably you're definitely going to get the car taken off you. Because, oh yeah, by the way, your one's car was taken off or it was seized. And yeah, that probably didn't help as well. But this car definitely was seized as well. So I imagine this was a male occupant of the car as well. He wanted to see how fast the car could go, and that's why he was speeding.
Ugh.
So this potentially could be a little bit racist, depending on where you use this excuse, and if a police officer from this neighborhood or from this place is also working in his neighborhood, he's probably going to go harder on you. So when another guy was stopped and asked why he was speeding, or why he didn't slow down going through a neighborhood, he said he didn't feel it was safe. He didn't want to slow down through this neighborhood because it wasn't safe. That's why he kept speeding through it.
Why did he feel it wasn't safe?
Because maybe high crime rate. So this is a bit of science. This is an science excuse that you can throw at a person. And once again, I just imagine all these people are male. And so when he was pulled over by the police and asked why he was going so fast, he actually said, "No, what? I'm actually not going fast at all. What it is my wheels, they spin, and it makes it feel like the car is going, look like the cars are going a lot faster than it actually is." So it was an optical illusion, officer. I don't think it worked either.
I wonder why.
And so this one, and it's the final one, and it's a little bit romantic. So if you ever caught by police, have a girl in the car, he was stopped by police and asked why he was going so fast, and his excuse was, I was trying to press the woman beside me. His date is the reason why he was going so fast.
So he got away with that, didn't he?
No. I imagine all these people are taking the bus right now. There's very few excuses that police will actually, other than if you're actually in serious distress and you need to get somewhere quick, that there might be a person who's injured or something like that.
Yeah, or I can't even think of anything else that would take as an excuse.
Yeah, but most of the time, when you got caught speeding, it's probably better off to own up to it and be like, "Saz." What also might end up more fucked is our Idiots of the Week.
That was a good one.
Yeah, this is part of the show that is created for idiots, and it's talked about by idiots, and it's about people doing really dumb things, and in particular, petitioning for really, really dumb things. And this is about the Olympic Games again, because people have been petitioning the Olympics to inclusion of a very odd game be added into the Olympics.
What is it?
Yu-Gi-Oh cards. The petition has reached 4,500 signatures for Yu-Gi-Oh to be added to the Olympics as a sport by passionate internet users who describe it as its exclusion of the game as an absolute injustice, Ken.
Oh, complete and utter injustice that is.
Her name who created the petition is Exron J. Zaho is her name. And if you wanted the spelling of that is Xiorn J-A-Y Zaho Z-H-A-O.
Does she know that she's a cunt?
Probably. Imagine she's aware of it. It's so much. Yeah, she describes it as so much more than a card game. The petition on change.org, Zaho argued that Yu-Gi-Oh should be considered a legitimate sport in the Olympics. And his request involves dexterity when you draw the cards, athleticism when you play the cards, endurance when you play 10 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It involves a lot of endurance. So she feels that it ticks all the boxes to be considered an actual athlete by playing this game.
Oh, she's a bit of an idiot.
Yeah. Well, her and 4,500 people. Also, there's 4,000. So, were you a little bit too old for Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Did that ship sail?
Yeah, I didn't do Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I did Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I never really did the battling. I did collect them. For people who are not familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh cards or not familiar with it, it's kind of a card trading game, kind of like Pokemon cards or Pogs. If you're that older, it's kind of collect them or football cards.
Pogs were great.
What?
Pogs were great.
Yeah, well, they're kind of one of the early kind of trading things, is where you swap people for different cards. Each card will have different strengths or different abilities for the game. Is where you basically duel people, and you have it's set in a world of monsters, wizards, potions, spells, and tricks, and you collect the cards up to 40 cards. And you use your deck of cards based off chance on what comes out. So way you can't see what cards you have. You flip one out, and it could be a wizard or it could be a spell. And you might get pot luck that the person has a counter to the spell or has a dragon, and you lose your wizard. And that's basically what Yu-Gi-Oh cards is, fictional kind of card game with different strengths and stuff like that. And it's it basically got started from an anime show that started in Japan. And yeah, there's been movies and card games and video games and all sorts. There's a whole kind of fanfare behind this whole thing. Probably not as big as Pokemon, but came out around the same kind of time.
I never got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Even the cartoon. I never was really into the Pokemon cartoon either.
I was big into both. I think I liked Yu-Gi-Oh! Better than I liked Pokemon. I thought it was a better show.
I used to collect the Pokemon cards, and I used to play a game, the Game Boy game, but I never watched it.
Oh, I used to, that was the one thing I could stop my homework to watch Pokemon, and it was, let me watch Pokemon or there'll be trouble.
Like, I really, really hated the animation in it.
Oh, the anime.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Well, you probably didn't watch Dragon Ball Z then.
No.
I love Dragon Ball Z as well. That was another show.
Yeah, no, I hated all those things.
So the petition was created last week when the Tokyo 2020 was already underway. The petition addresses the International Olympic Committee, in it to IOC, and calls for Yu-Gi-Oh to be added as an official Olympic sport for both to mend injustice and to apologize to Japan for making them go through with the 2020 Tokyo Games. The petition is looking for 5,000 signatures and is only 500 away from it.
That's not too far.
Yeah, so it's nearly at the amount that it wants. Yeah, I think it's going to go on till August 3rd. And
I can't see it happening though, but
no. Well, there's a lot of passionate fans of, like I said, Yu-Gi-Oh out there. So your one said was, this game is a legitimate sport. It's a test of body and spirit. Another one says, it's an amazing idea. Oh yeah, so it's not only, it would probably be more interesting than actual sports, they said, professional sports. It'd be more of a like an attraction. They think they'd garner more. See, this is the problem about letting like skateboarding into it. Everyone goes, anything can be in the Olympic Games.
Yeah, like this is my problem with reality TV has fucked up everything. That's what I'm blaming for everything these days.
Well, I think the Olympics are I think one of the biggest concerns, the reason why they allowed breakdancing and skateboarding into the Olympics was they're trying to target a younger audience, and they're seeing what young people are into. And obviously, the Olympic Committee is ran by old men primarily. So like they're just out of time. They're like, what are young people into? And they're like, oh, breakdancing. They love the old breakdancing. And then the other one goes, what about that of skateboarding? They're always skateboarding outside my house. Skateboard. What about scootering? And they like Scootering. They're always on those e-scooters. How's e-scootering a thing now? I don't know. And so it's kind of like that. They're just trying to attract the younger audience because they feel like the Olympics is going to be made irrelevant. If people don't grow up watching the Olympics, then they're not going to watch it later on in life. But I kind of feel like no one does breakdancing anymore. No one really skateboards anymore. Like you don't.
I've never watched the Olympics.
Yeah, I never sat down purposely. Sometimes like if there was an Irish boxer, when Katie Taylor, I'd watch the boxing, or Kenneth Egan I used to watch boxing, and my dad used to be really into athletics, so he used to always have the running on, so we used to always watch that. But it kind of just takes over the TV for, like, especially if you're in Ireland, it takes over RT2. So when anytime the Olympics on, morning and night, the Olympics just plays for like the 3 days or however long it goes on for. But it's like
that's always something that annoys me as well.
I think if you look at like sports that are new that are coming up, you'd look at CrossFit as a Olympic sport. You look at maybe mixed martial arts as an Olympic sport and stuff like that are, over the last few years, have become extremely popular but are also quite athletic.
Yeah, especially if you're looking for younger people to tune in. Like, a lot of younger people would probably watch MMA.
Yeah. Well, it has the fastest sport amongst people who are 24 to 30 something.
Yeah, so like it would make more sense.
And then if you look at like CrossFit, it's all done by people who are quite young because it's this newish sport. It doesn't have a historic of like older fans. So like the older fans that came up with CrossFit are some that either compete in it or have watched the Netflix documentary about it, at least know about it.
Yeah.
So I think something like CrossFit or mixed martial arts would definitely be. I kind of think submission fighting should replace wrestling. I think something like an ADCC rule set. As a person who's a jiu-jitsu fan, I just feel like wrestling and judo, like there's an incomplete form of grappling. Like the idea is just to get it to the ground and pin, but there's no finale. I just think with submission fighting, there's that finale where you go for a submission or you go for like a lock or a choke, and there's like a finale to it.
Yeah, you're forced into doing something.
Yeah, but like obviously that's coming from a person who's very biased in like in terms of that. I'm pretty sure there's wrestlers out there that said like think that's an awful idea.
Yeah, wrestlers out there currently going, "Fuck you, Mark."
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you and your stupid show. Wrestling was the original Olympic sport.
Yeah, fuck you and your fucking.
But they don't tell you they had a form of mixed martial arts in the Olympics, but too many people died, so they stopped it.
Oh yeah, was that what was it called? There was a name on it. I can't remember what it was.
And like they had their form of wrestling had holds, had locks, had submissions as well in it.
Yeah.
So fuck you, wrestlers.
Let's you say that on Friday.
Definitely not going to say that to Sergey. I'll go get any wrestler in a jiu-jitsu match. That's my only thing. It has to be jiu-jitsu. It has to be able to sit on my ass.
Do you remember like our first wrestling class, and they done that thing where they divided the class into two?
We should point out we have like our wrestling coach. He's a lovely guy, but he's also very blunt and very angry man. So yeah, go on with the story.
Do you remember like it was when we were doing like the beginners wrestling class?
Yeah, we were only allowed into the beginners at this stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my question perfectly sums up why there's a beginners class and you have to do this.
Yeah, like I still only do the beginners class. Do you do the advanced class?
No.
No. Do you remember like our very, very first class wrestling? I remember at the end of it, the coach like, "Oh, let's play games."
Yeah.
And he divided the class into two, and he made everybody sit in a circle on one team and interlock arms and hold on for as long as possible while the other team tried to separate you. And I remember you there with all your like jiu-jitsu knowledge just being like, why is nobody like just choking people? And you just start choking people and make them let go. And they're all like looking at him going, what the fuck? And he's going, well, I never said how they had to make you let go.
Oh, I thought it was like I thought you talked about the point where he was like doing this thing where he was leaning on your back and your head was going almost through their legs, and he's like putting pressure here, and you had to get the person off your back. And I was like, oh, can you roll over? And he's like, he didn't understand the question, and so I demonstrated it, and he's like, why would you do that? Like, he just looked at me, he just gave me one look like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you lying with your back on the ground? And I'm like, oh yeah. He's like,
because that's the big thing in wrestling. Like that jiu-jitsu, that's very, very good thing to do.
Yeah, like sometimes you'll actively try to get a person like underneath you underneath them. Like a lot of times when I recover to a position is to get to a guard, get to like where I can just control them off my back.
It turns out in wrestling, not so good.
Yeah, he was giving it to me the other day. He said I go down too easy. He's like,
that's because you're probably going to go for a leg.
No, he's doing some trip thing, and he's like, he wasn't working on him because he said I don't really resist going to the ground. I was like, I spend most of my time lying on my back. So it's like, so what was happening was he's taking me down, and he was nearly getting swept because I just wasn't resisting. I was just going with it because like in jiu-jitsu, you like if you just keep going with the motion, sometimes you can reverse a guy. Same in wrestling as well. Like you can reverse guys if you go with it too. So like, he was kind of saying he just has no resistance. So I was like I just couldn't do it. I was like, no, it's like fall easy. Anyway, we went way over time. We're now talking about wrestling and the Olympics and sports, which is never a good thing when in the Shite Talk podcast show. Everyone should tune in next week because next week is our 204 show. 204 is out. I'll be relieved to just like not have to talk about it anymore.
And we're going to have like a massive, it's going to be so
It's
cool.
going to be big. It's going to be massive. You're going to want to tune in. You're going to want to tell your mother and your father and your sister and your brother and your cousins. You're going to want to make a Facebook event. count down the days, because 204 is upon us.
It's going to be good.
And we'll talk to you next week on that show.
Shut up and sit down.